The lesson I took from this story was always read through your lease/rental agreement before fully signing. This takes place 4 years ago in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm originally from California, so trading up city life for a less urban life was very challenging for me. Making friends was hard, but I made the move to be with my dad, who lived in an apartment complex with a roommate. My dad was a trucker, so he was gone for weeks at a time, while I was left alone to work and come home to a foreign place that I slowly was becoming accustomed to. My roommate was gone for most of the time because he had a girlfriend, and he would leave his dog with me, so I never truly felt alone. I had an old lady for a neighbor that would come up and check on me too. That's how people were in that area, and I found it kinda nice to know people knew their neighbors. I got to know everyone in my building's name after about 6 or so months of living there, except for one. There was a man, let's say in his early to mid-50s, who lived directly below my apartment. He looked, for lack of a better description, like a creep. He was balding except for on both sides of his head, with that hair being shaggy too. He was tall and kinda skinny and had an outdated 90s glasses that you'd see on America's Most Wanted and a thick mustache. He was the only person in the building who wasn't friendly, or at least didn't make the effort to say hello or introduce himself to me. He also happened to be the maintenance man for all 5 buildings. I didn't think much of it at first. I honestly don't care if you're not overtly friendly to me. I enjoy having space of my own, and sometimes being too friendly is suspicious to me. That's just a personal problem, but I'm explaining why it didn't send any red flags up at first. One day, when I was pulling out of the driveway to go into work in the morning, I noticed across the large lawn that led to the door to our buildings, the maintenance man was standing in the center, staring directly at me. Stare is the wrong word. I would say glare. At first, I looked around, confused, thinking perhaps he was looking at someone or something behind me. I was the only one there. Although a bit creeped out, I shrugged it off and continued with my day, forgetting all about it. The next day, I was over at my neighbor Claire's apartment, the older lady, and she happened to bring up a maintenance issue she had, but mentioned she would never ask the maintenance man for anything, and neither should I. I tried to ask her more about what she meant by that, but she ended up being very broad and said something along the lines of, "He's just a known creep around here." Fast forward to the first incident. It was around 2 in the morning and I was still awake, but only barely, sitting on the couch watching Parks and Rec alone in the apartment. I was starting to drift off into sleep when I heard a soft noise near the door. Thankfully, the show was very low in volume because normally I don't pick up on quiet noises most of the time. I turned off the TV and began listening. Next to the living room on the right side is the patio area, and on the left side is the kitchen and the front door. The light from the moon and outside lamps were floating through the patio glass door, so I could see the doorknob to the front door moving. Not just moving, but someone was using a key. In an instant, the door flung open and I was on my feet with nowhere to hide at that point. I stood my ground and saw the silhouette step into the kitchen. That's when I saw it was the maintenance man. My stomach dropped and he stopped dead in his tracks when he spotted me, looking as if it was unexpected to find me awake. I noticed he had a large coat on, even though it wasn't winter or even cold on that particular night. I noticed that only because the jacket looked bulky, as if he were carrying things in it that I couldn't see. "What the hell are you doing?" was all I managed to squeak out. I was shaking, my knees feeling like they were going to give out. For reference, I was a 22-year-old woman standing a whopping 5'4", with no way to defend myself at all from where I was standing. He looked shocked, which made me feel like I had gained a little power from the situation. He retorted confusedly and angrily with,
"Your toilet is making a loud noise that I could hear from my bedroom."
I was angry and terrified, and only reacted with more anger when I saw him scrambling for excuses. "So you just let yourself into my apartment at 2 in the morning? I'm reporting this to management first thing in the morning." He stepped closer to me then. I backed up a few steps, but I still stood my ground, quickly turning on the light closest to me so he could see my fury.
"The toilet is rumbling. I need to check it now."
Now, I was trembling so hard I could barely stand. I had adrenaline and anger and fear all coursing heavily through my body. "Get the hell out!" He started to take the liberty to look around the kitchen where he was standing. My head immediately thought, damn, what if he goes for a knife? And that's when he said it.
"I can come in whenever I want."
That sentence still makes me shiver to this day. I didn't know what to do and felt the power over the situation quickly dwindling down to a bad feeling that something bad was going to happen. "If you don't get the hell out of my apartment right now, I'm going to start screaming as loud as I can." My voice was cracking and shaky, which made my heart drop into my stomach. I immediately felt like I was going to be sick when he took yet another step towards me.
"Check the lease. I can come in whenever I want. I'll see you later."
He winked at me, creating a wave of nausea as I felt faint. He slowly turned around and walked out, closing the door behind him and even going far enough as to lock it from the outside with his extra key. The next day, I contacted management as soon as their office opened. I could tell the conversation wasn't going anywhere when the manager sounded irritated right off the bat. When I told her that the guy entered my apartment illegally, she cut me off and told me that they do not allow any illegal activity and take what I was saying very seriously. I thought, yes, I've got him, until the manager said, "You can't just throw around accusations without proof. This man has dedicated over 20 years to working for this company, and we don't plan on getting rid of him anytime soon. Perhaps if you had read over your lease like you should have," yes, she was actually scolding me, "you would have seen the clause that states that a maintenance worker has keys to the entire property, and if there is a maintenance issue, they are permitted to access the property at any time of day." This floored me. It couldn't possibly be legal. I mean, of course, I'm from California, and of course, I didn't read the lease carefully. When I moved there, my dad was already living in the apartment, and I literally had nowhere else to go. So, if I were to be living there, I was going to have to sign the lease no matter what. So I did. Needless to say, nothing got done. Fast forward again. A few days go by and I don't see Mr. Maintenance Freak. Until I do. This time I'm pulling in after a long 10-hour shift at work. I haven't forgotten about the scary incident, but I had put it at the back of my mind for the time being to concentrate on other things. Although I did lose sleep over it. I park my car facing the large lawn area again and start using my phone for a few minutes. I'm peering down at my phone and glance up for a split second before I see him there. He's standing across the lawn, staring angrily at me again. I mean, furious. I quickly look back down and pretend to have not seen him, getting that sinking feeling again. As a paranoid person, I put the key in the ignition just in case and pretended to keep scrolling on my phone while subtly locking my door. I glance up again, and this time, he's stalking towards me. I look in my rearview mirror, hoping to see someone else that he may be stomping angrily toward, and of course, no one is there. It's nearly dark now, but when he gets about 10 to 15 feet away from the front of my car, I can hear him shouting, but I can't make out what he's saying. Now I put my phone down and I'm watching him come right at me until he reaches my window and starts banging on it with all of his might and slams his body into the door. He's also fidgeting angrily with the handle, even though the doors are locked. My car doesn't have automatic locks, so I'm praying to God that all my doors are locked at this point. My hands are shaking so bad that I'm having trouble starting the car. When I finally do, I realize what he's saying, which was a repeated cycle of the following phrases.
I'm going to get you, bitch. I told you I can come in whenever I want.
And
you really want to take me on? I'll kill you.
I peeled out of there so fast, not even knowing where to go. I drove to the next county over, found a motel, and stayed the night there. The next day, I took work off and went straight to management's office. I told them exactly what happened, and no matter what I said, they didn't believe me. This maintenance man was apparently God's gift to mankind or something. He was a monument to the company, and they appreciated his 20 years of service and dedication to them over him risking someone's life with his threats. Long story short, I lost it. I called her a psychotic bitch and ended up getting evicted. I reported all of this to the police, but between the lack of evidence I had and his perfect record / shining references from his employers, the police said there was nothing they could do to move forward at that point. My dad and I ended up finding a nice home about 10 minutes away from that place. I ended up inviting Claire, my older neighbor, to the new house a few months later. She told me there was a single woman in the apartment before the roommate and my dad had moved in there that also left in a hurry after something happened with the maintenance man taking photos of her walking to and from her apartment to her car. When she confronted him about it, he told her,
I can do whatever I want.
I guess in Kansas City, maintenance workers are like God. They get away with whatever they want and to have shining reputations. Needless to say, it's been 4 years, and I'm back in California. Hey, Dark Eyes here. Thank you so much for watching. This was video number 3. If you enjoyed, please, all I ask, like the video, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully it'll take about 45 seconds just because I want more people to see this thing, and I'm not quite sure how to promote these videos outside of Twitter, which is where you should follow me at Dark Eyes Stories, please. And just help me out by telling your friends. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you back here next time. I know this time it was just one story, but I thought it was a pretty cool story. So do you like the one story? Do you want more stories? Do you want shorter ones? Let me know in the comments section below. You are awesome. We'll see you next time, which will hopefully be soon. Bye-bye.